immense and a beautiful city hall. You know, with the wind in your hair, you're in the right place. G-U-Y-A-N-N. Oh, that's my beautiful country. G-U-Y-A-N-N. One people, one nation, one destiny. Look down from your window, no big city lights, just greenery. You don't know what you come for. Listen up, my dear, we're such a man free. Welcome to the land of many faces, not one, not two, but 6 different races. You know when the sun kisses your skin, you're in the right place. G-U-Y-A-N-N. Oh, that's my beautiful country. G-U-Y-A-N-N. One people, one nation, one destiny. Look down from your window, no big city lights, just greenery. You don't know what you come for. Listen up, my dear, we're such a man free. Welcome to the land of many faces, not one, not two, but 6 different races. You know when the sun kisses your skin, you're in the right place. G-U-Y-A-N-N. Oh, that's my beautiful country. G-U-Y-A-N-N. One people, one nation, one destiny. Don't stop for a minute. Come, let me take a walk. We'll take you. You'll see our landmarks and our monuments. They're so unique. The hybrid structure in a lighthouse, the tallest wooden structure, cathedral, 176th Street, monuments and the beautiful city hall. You know, with the wind in your hair, you're in the right place. G-U-Y-A-N-N. That's my beautiful country. G-U-Y-A-N-N. One people, one nation, one destiny.
Video, please.
Look down from your window, no big city lights, just greenery. You don't know what you come for. Listen up, my dear.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing.
To the land of many faces, not one, not two, but 6 different races. You know when the sun kisses your skin, you're in the right place. G-U-Y-A-N-N. Oh, that's my beautiful country.
So we're going to take this from the top. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Let us know before I proceed further. Let us know whether you're hearing us loud and clear. Just let us know in the comments whether you're hearing us. Good. Afifa says we're hearing you loud and clear. Good morning, guys. It's Thursday, September 15th, and welcome to FYI. I am, of course, Amanda Walton Desir, and I'm joined by my colleague and friend, Joretta Finance. And it's Census Day today. We counting we. We counting we. Beginning today, the census will go on for another few weeks. So look out for the enumerators coming to your home. We'll, of course, delve into some more detail in the program. And it's also International Day for Democracy. Some very interesting tidbits in the news for you in that regard. And so we're going to be looking at that. We're going to have the morning brew. And, of course, we're going to touch on the big issue. So remember to smash that emoji button, share the live stream so that the FYI family and indeed the entire Guyana could get valid and credible information. Let's know how the weather is in your neck of the woods. It's a beautiful sunshiny day, as they would say in Guyana. It's the sun is shining this morning. Let's know what's happening in your neck of the woods. And we see Gwyneth Anderson. We see Sheila's boy child. Good morning. Good morning, Sheila's boy child. Reynold Worrell and Gail Mingo. Good morning. As our brother Sherry would say, all rock and come in, share the live. Remember to smash that emoji button so that we can get valid and credible information. Paul says, good morning, Amanda. You just made it a better day. That is so gratifying to hear, Paul. Thank you so much. We do look forward to coming to you to bring you information just for your information. And so hopefully you can share it, because our view here is that informed citizens make informed decisions. And so, Joretta, my dear, how are you this morning?
Good morning, guys. Good morning, everyone. I'm good. I'm awesome this morning. It has been quite an interesting morning for me. I was up and about like super early today, more than usual. And I'm always up early, but this morning was just out of the ordinary. I was up and about very early. And I was so excited to come here and be with you guys and have these conversations. You know how we love, absolutely love to have these conversations. Manza started off by saying that today, September 15th is the census day. We count in week. I get excited about the numbers. I don't know if that's the reason I was going to say. I don't know if that's the reason. Right? But I did note a lot of PR is going out into census and the sensitization that persons are going to be going around commenting, and I'm paying keen attention to our Venezuelan colleagues that have those that have been neutralized, and those that have gotten their children here, those that are citizens of the country, have that dual citizenship going for them. They took on a PR role of their own, and I see one particular individual out there, we count in we, and then everything else is in Spanish.
Yes. I think it's really indicative of how the demographics are.
Yes, yep.
In the US, for example, when you go, you see public signs are in 5-6 different languages. Correct. So really and truly, we
20 years.
Yeah,
I give them 20 years before our electoral. No, I give them 20 years before our electoral system is different. And when we see different people going out, they run for presidency. I give them 20 years. I'm being kind to myself right now.
But guys, we're super excited. Super excited. Joretta loves these numbers.
I
love me and numbers. But we look forward to seeing what those results are, and it's so important for data purposes. Data-driven decision making is super important.
I want to know how many persons in our country is bilingual. And I have special interest in numbers.
Well, no habla español.
Oh, goodness.
Wandala, good morning. Debbie Apple, good morning, Debbie. Jim Moore Bacchus, good morning, guys. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. We see that we have a few hundred of you on here today. So share the live, smash the emoji button so that we can get valid and credible information. I see our friend Chising.
Chising. Hey, Chising Henry, how are you? I hope all is well. I see Mayborn King and everybody else. Guys, it's absolutely important that you share the stream. Yesterday I see you slack up a little bit. The day before you were doing excellent. Let's get the numbers up. Let's make sure that we keep the program how we want it. We cannot be slacking up at all when it comes to the share, because
slack not your writing. Let us watch. I said PVP don't like true numbers.
Yeah. They didn't have to do it. They never do that.
Guys, please check on Latch Me.
No.
I haven't seen Latch Me in a couple of days. So,
Well,
you know,
birds of a feather.
she's a part of the FYI family after all. Let's check and make sure that she's okay. Lola says we miss Sharon. Well, you just have to contend with us.
Don't worry. Come on.
You know, it's Tuesday and Thursday, and you know, we keep saying he has to have a rest because it's not easy to produce 3 programs every day. So we're stepping in to give your boy a rest. He's around, he can hear you, he can see you, but he is, you know.
Give him a break, come on.
Giving him a break.
12 o'clock is not
done.
12 o'clock is
You
good
can
enough.
come and get him at 12 o'clock.
Yeah, that is correct.
On Below the Belt. And then 8 o'clock this evening. Let's fight. Let's fight.
Yeah, a lot going on in the morning papers, Amanda.
gosh,
Oh
yes.
goodness, guys, I don't know what else to
Yes,
say,
yes,
but we
yes.
have been talking about our country. We've been saying that we've been losing too many lives, you know, either recklessly to the hazardous way people drive. Then we have another set of crimes being committed, lives being lost when it comes to gender-based violence, and then there is then we have situations in which persons are just, you know, just inhumane at times. I don't know what else to say about that.
People are on the edge.
Yeah, I think Mocha is where we are this morning. Yeah. What is going on in Mocha there? You know, Mocha taxi driver Quincy Weeks, you know, killed during the row over a parking spot. And this is just insane, guys. And it says that the report is saying that it was a bloody scene Wednesday morning at the Mocha East Bank Demerara Road head when a taxi driver stabbed one of his colleagues to death during a quarrel over parking spot. So that is Quincy Weeks, 41 years old, you know, a father of one and resident of 31 Nelson Street, Mocha East Bank, Demerara. The suspect is presently in police custody, you know, and it says here that the newspaper understand that Weeks and this is Kaiser News, understand that Weeks and his alleged killer were friends who plied their trade together as taxi drivers at the Mocha road head there. However, things turned sour between the two over a $500 row, you know. They said on Wednesday morning, the things took a deadly turn for Weeks after another argument erupted between the two, this time over a parking spot. Police believed that the new argument had only added fuel to the fire, and the alleged killer was already angry about the $500 dispute that they had before. How do you get to this point? Like, how do you get to this point? $500 in a parking spot? Like, how do we get there?
Well, you know, people, and this is not making excuses, but there's no excuse for doing that. But the reality is that people are tense. People are, you know, Martin Carter had a poem, everywhere men's face are strained and anxious. People are on the edge. It's razor thin. And so I think as we go about our day, we just have to make a personal decision that, you know what, I'm not even going to take it on. Because look at where he is now. One man is dead.
Yeah.
A child is without a father. A mother is without a son. And his life, the killer's life, for all intents and purposes, is over. Because he's going to go to jail.
Yeah. But where is...
Over $500 in a parking spot.
That's the whole thing. You know, when it comes to anger management, because this is something I think that needs a larger discussion, especially when it pertains to men. Yes, there are some women out there that have the same issue, but a larger scope of things, the magnitude and the gravity of that should be a discussion within the sphere of men, because there's a lot of men out there with a lot of anger issues. Let us be very real and frank about this conversation this morning. Men need to take that under control. It's not okay for you to lose your temper for the slightest thing. You know, this is not something that's becoming of you. And you know, in addition to that, man, I didn't know it, guys. I don't know how many of you saw it, but there was a video circulating on social media. It's a 12-year-old boy. I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm just seeing the way in which, in the caption that is there, that a 12-year-old boy basically wrecked his mother's entire place because she took away his cell phone or something of that nature. And I'm saying that to say that as mothers, you know, you're raising sons, you know, we have to get to a place that we teach them temperament and control altogether. It's not okay for children and teenagers to be acting out and screaming out and be having violent outbursts and all of those things. Those things are not okay, but children learn what they see. I always say children are perfect carbon copies of the environment that they were brought up in. So we have to be we have to take account, a lot of accountability have to be taken on the parts of parents and the way in which we are training our children, or lack of training altogether. Because come on.
Absolutely. When we were talking the other day about our children, I said that I'm raising 2 sons.
Yeah.
And I'm raising them with the understanding that I'm raising somebody's future husband, and I'm raising somebody's future father.
Yeah.
And they have got to get it right.
Yeah.
We have to begin to teach our children how to manage emotions. We have to begin to teach our men that feeling and acknowledging emotions is not effeminate. We still are in a society where we say that boys don't cry. Boys cry.
People cry.
People cry.
People cry.
People have emotions. And so you have people brought up from that system. And so they're taking their emotions and they're stuffing it down and they're stuffing it down. And then one day, like a powder keg, it explodes.
Yeah, they believe that the right thing to do is for them to go out and they hit out, lash out, and they physically demonstrate superiority.
More than likely, they take it out on their partners and those closest to them.
Yeah.
That type of that is what breeds interpersonal violence. So I think we need a lot more. We need more fora to teach our men how to manage their emotions and to teach and to talk about emotional intelligence. There are a lot of support groups for women, but I don't think they're enough for men.
There are hardly any, that's true. We take a little segue, we have segued a little bit from what we're discussing, but the situation there at Muckahead, at no point in time should a dispute over $500 and then thereafter a dispute over a parking spot lead to somebody getting stabbed. That should never be the case. It shows a lot of pent-up anger and person's lack of the ability to actually resolve. Dispute resolution is not something that was clearly absent from that situation, and we need to do better as a society. Like I always say, we're not a million people. But let's do better.
Yeah. What else is going on in the news this morning?
The second monkeypox patient discharged from the hospital. Oh my goodness.
Well, guys, we've been following it, and I think on the FYI we had gotten a head start, basically bringing to the attention of the Guyanese public that this thing is out there. It's serious. So we're happy that this person has recovered, but we keep saying, do not do away with the safety protocols. Continue to wear your mask if you can. Continue to sanitize. Continue to wash your hands. And keep yourself safe. Your safety is your responsibility. And so we're happy that person is home and back with their family.
Yep. And there was a lot of talk. I'm not going to pretend that there wasn't some reports that came from persons at the hospital that would say the person didn't have monkeypox. I'm not going to pretend that didn't happen.
There's a lot going on. I mean,
the contact tracing said the persons that they were closely associated with, those persons, particularly for the first patient that was there, that person, none of the close contacts showed any signs or symptoms of monkeypox. And then, Sherry Duncan did go at length to say that there were reports coming out from medical personnel there that individual was having issues and skin issues for sometimes prior.
Right.
So that's a different conversation. But go on. We're happy that persons are home and not being institutionalized and under such watch. I wish that on absolutely no one, guys. But as we move forward this morning, guys, Sterling Products Limited, Menza, Sterling Products Limited seeks the EPA's help against Pretty Paul Singh for trespassing Providence waterfront property. And boys got different issues over there this morning. When some of you waking up wondering what you're doing with your next, how you getting your next meal from them, boys got different issues. But it says here
in the comments are rich people problems. Is that what it says?
Yes, it says here that Sterling Products Limited, is the SPL, has lodged an official complaint with the Environmental Protection Agency stating that agents of Pretty Paul Singh Investment Inc. have been trespassing on its waterfront property situated at Lot E Providence and is presently executing construction work.
I mean,
I don't know
the details of the case, but EPA, what are they doing?
The waterfront,
but
that's
are
there.
They polluting? Are they exceeding the boundaries of an environmental permit. Like, what is happening? I'm not sure what has invoked the jurisdiction of the EPA in this regard. It'd be very interesting to get the facts of the case. But we're following it here, and what it's saying is we're taking it out of Kaicho News that the Sterling Products had notified the EPA that the trespassing persists despite the court ordering the company vacate the property in question. Now it appears to me that there being a court order, contempt of a court order may be the thing.
Yes,
so we're gonna have to study this, because I'm trying to see where it is that the EPA would have gotten involved. But like we said, we'll continue to follow it. I'm sure that these are people who have the means to resolve their issues. So what's next in the...
Believe it or not, we're on another land issue. It says here that land given to overseas-based charity organization to build warehouse taken away by government. I'm going to take that headline for you one more time, slowly and nice, so that you can sink in. Land given to overseas-based charity. What charities does? The charity organization to build a warehouse has been taken away by the government. The government different, like, they're very different, and they were taking this one particular out of the Village Voice,
right, because this charity in the U.S., Miss Eslyn Shockley, she is a very well-reputed businesswoman out of Atlanta, and she runs this charity called Caring for Others. She does a lot of work here in Guyana, particularly in Linden, and she has one of the larger Caribbean-based Caribbean-focused charities in the Atlanta area. So for her land to be taken away in this manner, it's really, really, smacks of victimization. I'm glad to see that she took Hughes, Fields, and Stobie to defend her interests. Ms. Shockley is an African-American Guyanese. She has Guyanese roots and does sterling work. In fact, she received a number of citations from the Atlanta State, the Georgia State machinery and the state government there for her sterling work. So it's really distressing to see that this land will be taken away and given to a friend of the PPP.
Well, the problem is, and let's not get away from the real issue here. The real issue here is that to take away anything and remove anything that was done by the AP and UAFC administration. This particular charity organization acquired this land by NISIL under the AP and UAFC administration tenure in office. So the PP is in there, and that's how they operate. That's how they operate. That's what they do.
It is almost an attempt to nullify any type of land transaction that would have been done. I see
because they believe their friends alone supposed to
own the land.
I'm trying not to get
that. Thankfully, the civil case against Minister Jordan was dismissed. But this is what they do. This persistent persecution of particularly Afro-Guyanese and people who support the coalition.
Yep.
And we can bury our heads in the sand all we want, but these are the facts on the ground. And this is the reality of what is happening. And so you have another instance where somebody lawfully acquired a piece of land.
Every process was
so there wasn't a shortcut or anything like that. But here you have
no problem. The situation and all of that.
Ali, exactly. And this is where we are so preposterous in this nation. Praderville 1, Praderville 2, all of these were developed by the PPP under the most dubious of circumstances, and people acquire these lands for a fraction of the market value, but that is okay. but for an Afro-Guyanese, an American citizen to come here to set up something for charitable purposes, we have a difficulty with that. But, she has hired legal representation, and I'm sure her cause is going to be vindicated.
Correct. According to the report that we're reading here out of the Village Voice, it says that legal representation needed. The business has hired the service of Huge Fields and Stobie to defend and preserve its interests there. And this is something that we definitely will be following through with, because, guys, we have to open our eyes and understand what is going on in the country. You cannot have the people going in there to believe that they must own them and their friends must own a piece of the land. It's absolutely crazy. Like, what the hell is going on? How is it that is okay? At what point in time did this become okay? I'm trying not to get worked up.
It's difficult. It's very, very difficult not to get worked up.
Yeah.
It's very, very difficult not to get worked up. But we're going to continue to follow it and see where it goes. What's going on in the morning brew?
No, before we get there, I think we have a video, man. I think we have a little video there, because one of the things that we did want to touch on the morning papers this morning is what's going on there in Kurpukari, the primary school there. That the parents are saying that it's without teachers. Since school has opened, it's without teachers. The parents are showing up to the school with their children, no teachers there. So we'll have the technical staff just bring that up for us very quickly. Let's get into this bit of discussion. Very pertinent.
Parents in school. Now it's actually almost 9 o'clock. Children are here in school, and this is what's going on in Kupukari Nursery School and Primary School, Fairview, or whatever you have to call it. Parents with children in this school. No teachers. This is happening since the beginning of the school term. The teachers went home, and they ain't even come back. No teacher in school. Sorry, my camera is blurred, but this is it in the primary school at this time. This is grade 5 class, right? Grade 4. Over here is grade 5. All right.
Yeah, well, quite interesting there, because that's one bit that's coming out there. But we have been getting reports that when it comes to the timing of the school, that may be the real issue that is at play there, at the timing that teachers are supposed to show up to school, and so which we could get into that discussion, but I'm not going to get into it now.
Yeah.
But what I have to say is that when on the coastline, school starts at 9 o'clock, and a lot of the hinterland schools, all the persons have tremendous difficulty with traveling to the school. Those schools actually start at 8:30. As opposed to 9 o'clock. So it's earlier, believe it or not. A lot of the schools have to go, and there's some parts of children actually have to go to school for 8 o'clock and so forth. So there may be a very, very larger conversation that needs to be had there as it pertains to the timing that persons are required to get to the school, and the conditions and the basic the demographic that they have to, the landscape rather, that they have to go through to go to the school. So we're going to have that conversation a little bit later, but I just want to give from every angle how that is coming forward to us. So guys, as we move forward, into the morning brew, Hamanzo, let's take it from there.
Yep. And so we have people queuing for miles, thousands of mourners lining up to pay respects to Queen Elizabeth, who transitioned earlier a few days ago. And so we're seeing that mourners from all walks of life, it says, have been queuing up to file past the coffin of the Queen on Thursday as she lay in state in Westminster Hall. They're passing to pay their respects to the longest serving British monarch. And it's very, very interesting, the conversation that the Queen's passing has sparked. We've seen different reactions. We've seen different people commenting differently. and people really using the opportunity to express how they feel.
Yeah.
We see the issue of reparations coming back to the fore. So it's very, very interesting to see how this will play out, because some people have been very, very explicit in their sentiments. In Barbados, we recognize that the mighty Gabby got into some trouble for a poem that he would have authored, and he has said since that he's not apologizing for it. But it's very interesting, this whole situation, what it brings out. For some people, grief because she has gone. For some people, anxiety because of what historically their people would have suffered because of enslavement and colonization. And so you're seeing the emotions of the world, I think, on both sides laid bare.
It's hard to separate, it's hard to separate Her Majesty the Queen as the person that sat on the throne for 70 years, from all of those emotions and situations. I see it playing out there, but more interestingly, I'm noting conversations being had even locally by persons, about what went on before, and the whole issue of colonization, and it made me remember a debate I actually did. My very first debate, believe it or not, I was in third form in high school, and the moot for that debate was colonization is to be blamed for racial intolerance in Guyana. And I remember it like it was yesterday, because the depth of the research that had to be done into putting together that argument, that 5-minute argument, it was tremendous. And then you understand why these two go hand in hand, and why it is so difficult for persons not to have these conversations. Like I can say as much.
You have to, and a lot of people are struggling with the political correctness versus how they truly feel, and what, and it is important that these discussions be had, because we must understand that everyone is entitled to feel how they feel. And there's no right way to say it. There is nothing wrong with conveying condolences to people.
Of course not.
That does not negate if you have a different view. Somebody has lost a mother. They've lost a grandmother. And so in those circumstances, your condolences to them, but it does not prevent anyone from having the hard conversations. Indeed, there has been an acknowledgement re the issue of reparations. That is why it is front and center. CARICOM has, I recall, set up a 10-point plan to address the issue of reparations, and the first on that is an apology. Is an apology for the people of African descent and indigenous Caribbean people for the toll that the slave trade and colonization took. So these are facts, and they're not mutually exclusive of each other. They can all be true at the same time. And so it's a very interesting conversation that I see. It's going to continue for some time. I don't think that it will wane away in the coming days, but I notice that a lot of people, particularly those in Africa, India has called for the return of the diamond in the crown, and there's a lot going on around it, and so we're going to be paying attention to the conversation.
In my humble assessment, this is not going to be something that is in the next coming years is going to have much resolution, but I do believe that it's going to fall heavily on the shoulders of William. And that is as is King Charles III, his son there, that is going to be heir to the throne thereafter him.
King Charles is already
73. Right, so I see this going and this whole conversation being developed a whole lot more through his son, William. So, and I do believe that they have grown in different age and stage, a different dimension of the world altogether. But we're going to see how that goes. But here in Guyana, we just going to give a reminder at this point. Here in Guyana, Irfan Ali has signed that the 19th would actually be our day of mourning here in Guyana as it pertains to the passing of the Queen. You know, diplomacy have certain dynamics, and we acknowledge that we will have a day of mourning for Guyanese here.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what's happening internationally, but we're following regionally.
Bird flu, man. So.
Bird flu.
Talk to us.
Bird flu detected at poultry farm in northwest Belize.
What next?
My people, I don't know. Monkeypox, bird flu, COVID-19. Now, you know.
I have something very controversial to say.
Jonathan will come again with this thing.
I know, I come in with it. I can't help myself. Come on. A vaccine coming to man. Like a vaccine coming. I apologize to all the medical professionals out there, but for me, it has been like the age of vaccines I see. And I'm not in tune with this. I'm not okay. I'm not okay with the way, the direction in which I see everything going. So
wow.
I kid you not, you know, we're looking at these things and so forth. If you're going to come with another vaccine, a new vaccine, it's going to start to bother me because I'm beginning to feel like I have been vaccinated twice. For COVID-19, twice to COVID-19. Yeah. This is not okay. Yeah. It's not okay for me to have Sputnik in my system, but because I have to travel, another place don't accept Sputnik, so I have to be revaccinated. It's not okay for me. And then you're going to say you come in and then there's monkeypox, and then they say, there are vaccines available for monkeypox.
The geopolitics of vaccination. But what it's saying here is that the Belize Agricultural Health Authority has placed a poultry farm in Blue Creek Village in the northwest of Belize under quarantine after detecting the avian influenza. What Sharon is saying? Sharon is saying monkeypox, fowl dogs, blue flu.
I see my boy Ron and Austin Jr. in the comment section there. He's not forgetting what's going on there in Haiti. Chaos in Haiti.
In Haiti.
Yesterday we did cover
prices doubled.
Yep.
And, you know, whenever I think about Haiti, I think about that song by David Rudder. Haiti, I'm sorry. You must go listen to that. You must listen to that song.
Over 11 million people.
You understand
you know the numbers,
the depth of what is happening with Haiti.
You know what is empowering over 11 million people?
Yeah.
And that, you know what is empowering over 11?
Yeah.
The largest, the most densely populated, CARICOM country. Yep. You understand why persons don't go in certain life. But I did not say more.
It's the largest market.
Good Lord.
You know, so there's a lot going on there. And we're going to keep tracking it, Ronald. Thank you for highlighting that. And, you know, the people are in the streets.
Yeah.
The people are in the streets because things tight and people are fed up.
Yep.
And we just want to bring that to your attention. The people are taking action. And so we're going to be following this bird flu story. We're going to be...
I'm not waiting to get vaccinated. I'm sorry.
We hope that, you know, it's gotten under control and that we are able to... Sharon, to let the birds keep it. You know.
Sharon can't stay off of this program, you know. He's right in the background. You can't help yourself.
Locally, there's a lot happening.
Well, I don't know what's going on there, but it says 65% of Guyanese would trade away elections for material guarantees. It says here that that's the latest survey that was done. You know, the Who is Willing to Trade Away Elections for Material Guarantees report is part of this study being done by the university there and Latin American Public Opinion Project Lab Insight Series. And it says the report issued on September 13th evaluated a country's socio-demographic and political predictors of an individual's willingness to trade elections for material guarantees of basic income and services. The report utilizes responses from the 2021 round of LAPOP's American Barometer survey, and it says here that 65% of Guyanese would trade away. 65% of Guyanese would trade away elections for material
So
guarantees.
basically what it's saying is, look, if we could just be assured that we will have a livable income and we can have certain guarantees, we can bother with elections.
Listen, this is a big survey, right? Don't pretend that this is not a big survey. The people literally asking you whether or not you're willing to have. Oh God, do I use these words this morning? All right, it can be interpreted. It can be interpreted that such surveys are done and the underlying information data that is gathered may suggest that persons are willing to, given that they are guaranteed certain securities when it comes to their living, their standard of living and all of that, if they have a guarantee that they will have this particular level when it comes to their standard of living, they're willing to just, it helps with election, you know. And I see like the Communist Party of China, you know, there's something that's
Very interesting.
Probably looking at these numbers too.
Yes. No, you know, but this provides such it provides important insight into where people are, and it goes back to Maslow's entire theory of actualization, and that people really, at a fundamental level, want their basic needs taken care of.
Yeah,
Maslow's hierarchy of needs, so. You know,
self-actualization being there at the top. You know, you have the basic needs, the basic things there before you get to a point of self-actualization here in Maslow's theory. But Manzo, elections mean democracy. It goes hand in hand.
Right.
So basically, the surveys ask me whether or not you're willing to trade democracy for guaranteed income and services.
Absolutely.
That's what they're asking.
And it's important that you raise that, given that today is International Day for Democracy.
Yes.
But again, I think it just indicates just how at a deeper level people are wary of the role that elections generally tend to take.
Yeah. People just want to be
okay, want to get on with their lives. Yeah. And you know, we're gonna be drilling down into this because I'm sure when this is published, you know, you will take a drill down into the numbers and see exactly what it means. And there's another interesting tidbit coming up.
Come on, you know, the CIA focusing on Chinese influence in Guyana. Oh, wow. But surprise, surprise, nobody's surprised. United States Central Intelligence Agency is paying close attention to Chinese influence in Guyana and several other Caribbean countries as part of $6 to $7.1 billion authorized spending under the Intelligence Authorization Act of 2023. It said the committee remains concerned, among other areas, about the People's Republic of China's intentions and influence in the Caribbean, including in Suriname and Guyana, and that's coming from the chairman of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, Senator Mark Warren. That's what he said in his report there. But if I can add to this, Amanda, is that it was not surprising that the CIA will be interested and paying close attention to what is going on in Guyana, given the fact that we had just a whole episode of a Sue-gate matter.
Sue?
Right? Come on.
Who is Sue?
Right?
You see,
we told you the people don't come and investigate.
See, it is only here in Guyana that we sometimes allow these things to die. And it occurred to me this morning that Barry Jack Deo has some nerve.
Talk to us.
You are exposed on international TV as having taken bribes. Not only did you try to jump ahead to say you're broadcasting everything, but you were unaware that the people were in your living room. Were in your living room recording you saying Sue gets all the support. Now, You have the audacity to go to accuse Ipadaji of finance.
Smoke and mirror. It's smoke and mirror.
You know what? We cannot keep falling for the smoke and mirrors. Janvio should not be allowed to talk about anybody.
Somebody told me he called my name. I have to go check on it.
I think we live in their heads, but he must not be allowed to get away with this. Sugate was damning, and in any other functioning democracy, Jagdeo would have been asked to resign.
Yeah.
And yes, we are not ignorant of the fact that there is a larger geopolitical game at play here. But this is about the vice president of a country being caught almost red-handed. And they want us to forget that. And then he pretends to parade around to be the guardian-in-chief of the finances of the people of African descent. Suddenly, you don't fool us. You're just hypocritical. And, let the CIA come and investigate whatever they investigate. And let the chips fall where they may.
Correct. And some of the things that what did come out there in that whole Sugate matter, the information that was put forward by Vice Media there in their documentary that was so beautifully done by Isabella Young. What was said there, they spoke a lot about what were the deals that was being cut, but the deals that were being cut for what? A lot of stuff when it comes to infrastructure and all of those things. The report is the report that we're going through right now says that 90 days from the passage of the Intelligence Authorization Act of 2023 on June the 22nd, 2022, the committee expected that by September the 20th, 2023, that the director of the CIA would submit a report to the Congressional Intelligence Committee regarding the threats and risks presented to the United States national security and economic interest by the People's Republic of China's investment in critical infrastructure, including energy and communications infrastructure in the Caribbean. You remember energy, you remember hydro, falls, and so forth?
Yes.
We can get to those things.
We're going to keep abreast of this. I mean, like we say, this is a big geopolitical issue, but for Guyanese, our concern has to be that the people who hold public office are held accountable for what they do with our money and for just following law and order. It's that simple.
Correct.
It's that simple. And so, we'll continue to track that information. And as we are on the U.S. and investigations, Sergeant Bascom has been charged, but he has met, we understand, with U.S. investigators and has shared vital information.
So this is far from over. This is far from over, Amanzo. When they went to the Cybercrime Act to attack, I'm using my words attack, I'm just dealing with that very directly. When they went to the Cybercrime, that piece of legislation, and he's being put through the court when it comes to cybercrime. We cannot forget that Sherry Duncan, our colleague, FYI, the man of the hour, and all of those lovely names that you have just put to him there. Sherry Duncan is one of those persons that act has been completely abused to victimize. So when we move from that now, and you have the damning allegations put forward and made by Bascom, and now we're seeing cybercrime, of all the things, of all of the things you could have come up with, you come up with something regarding cybercrime. What are we looking at? We're talking about a murder that was a stone throw ahead from where the president resides. Right?
Yeah.
No one charged yet. Damning allegations being made. And what's the biggest issue? Cybercrime violations. Like, seriously?
Yeah.
This is a country that
it's amazing how they cherry pick, because I am still to hear about what happened with that matter with myself and Roshan Khan, who had called for me to be marked and for people to picket my house. And
so you were never called back?
Never. And so this cherry picking as to who they use the law to keep in check. It really is going to, unless we keep this situation in check, it's going to mean a complete erosion of law and order here in Guyana. You see it happening daily. And, Bascom has decided that he is going to go down fighting.
And he's filing a cybercrime too?
Yes, and I think they're private criminal charges that have been filed. So, it's very interesting, as Rita said. It's far from over. It's far from over, and so we'll be very interested in understanding the depth of the meeting. I am told that the meeting lasted for some 5 hours with the U.S. authorities.
Oh, wow.
5 hours. So that was a long time. So far from over. We'll continue to track this information as it comes in. What's next? We're seeing Guyana was prepared to partner with Uganda to further strengthen the NRF. And this is what Winston Jordan was saying.
Yeah, well, I think a lot is being said right now, particularly from this angle, guys, because if you had noticed, I think it's 2 days ago, we had a conversation being had there between none other than the vice president, and he went to parade himself on a particular talk show with a particular newspaper owner, dear Mr. Glenn Lal, for full disclosure. And a lot was said in that could be disputed, you know. And I do know that there are some experts in the oil and gas sector that are saying that they are open and willing and calling Barjagis to debate with them, you know, particularly Vincent Adams, Dr. Vincent Adams. Vincent Adams is saying that, come on, let's have this debate. No, since you want to go out in public, let's have it.
No, but why must he debate?
Jack
has been allowed to get away. Somebody is saying that there's no sound. Let us know if you can hear us loud and clear.
Well, I'm seeing the conversation still continuing, so that person may have to adjust their sound a little bit because everybody else is still on tune. So, but guys, let us know if the song is good at your end. Please let us know.
It appears to be good at our end. Our systems appear to be a go.
Yes.
So, as we were saying, you know, and this is where we talk about Jaretta beginning to govern Guyana on a contest of ideas.
Yeah.
And not just personality. Barry Jagdeo has deluded himself that he can go and spew whatever he wants to spew. And know that a certain sector of society is going to suck it up. Oh, he said this and who said that?
Some song bites.
and focus on song bites. But to have intelligent debates with people who are subject matter experts, he cannot. Barry Jagdeo is attempting to set himself up as the oil and gas czar, which is why he basically did away with the Department of Energy. Did away with any kind of technical support. He did away with the projects that would have seen the institutional strengthening of the government to deal with this new burgeoning sector. And he has set himself up as the chief cook and bottle washer, the gatekeeper. And I guarantee you, when things begin to go south, he's going to find somebody else to blame. Just like he did with Skeldon Sugar Factory, it wasn't his fault. Decades after, it's not his fault, it's Booker Tate. He always does this.
Didn't take back people that honorary doctorate yet. Every project this man does fail.
Every one of them.
How does man still has an honorary doctorate?
Well, I don't know.
I don't know. If there's one thing, you know, I think that should be good. Guys, continue to share the stream. We're getting into the big issue. Make sure that you share. You've been slacking a little bit right now. Share the live stream as we head forward into these discussions. Election inquiry, you know, what is going on here, man? So this is crazy.
I have to take a sip of tea.
It's that elections inquiry will zoom in on District 4, given 7 months to hand over report. Zoom in on District 4. The people basically saying that the only contention that should be dealt with in the election is the contention that the PPP have. And all of the other contentions throughout the length of Britain again is not their problem. And they don't want any report coming in on this. They're basically saying that all of the issues in Region 9 is not something that they think should be investigated. That is not something that they want an investigation going. They're basically saying that when, let me say this, when they're talking about District 4, you're going to see for yourself. We're going to wait for the East Coast rather, for those information to be coming in, because I'm going to tell you that they're not interested in that either. They're not interested in all those missing documentations.
Let me say this.
I'll see with firing.
Let me say this.
Call it for him. Massive.
The PPP will regret going down this road. It's going to backfire on them. And it's going to backfire on them big time. Because their slip is already showing.
Yeah.
You have a situation where they are seeking to engage in a commission of inquiry for a matter that is in the first instance sub judice. Every matter that has come up in those terms of reference that they released late last night are sub judice. Why not allow the elections petition to go forward? There are also criminal charges in the magistrate's court against Mingo and a few other persons. Those cases are not being allowed or have not been able to proceed. And the reason that they're not able to proceed is that they cannot build a case to present against the people. So what are they doing now? They realize that they are losing ground in the legal realm. And so here they are going to put it now in the court of public opinion because they know that they have a propaganda machinery that can push their propaganda out. In no other functioning democracy would a matter as an elections petition be allowed to run in parallel with a commission of inquiry into the same circumstances. And in law, there is something that allows you, for example, to consolidate cases if they come out of a particular singular event or if the facts concerning them are common.
Yeah.
And so there's no escaping. And so what Nandal is saying to the public about, oh, it's not the same, it's a farce. It is a farce. They know that they're losing the battle in the courts of law, and so they've moved it into the public realm. And you know what is most dangerous? Anil Nandlal knows that because the people who are involved in Region 4 are before the courts on a matter, that they will not be allowed to speak. Because remember the sub judice rule that Manzoor loves to pelt at us in the National Assembly is that if it is seized of by the court, it cannot be debated upon. But here you are. So they know that Mingo, Lowenfield, whoever else will not be able to say anything because they are defendants in a criminal matter.
And so who is this investigation being done with?
This is precisely the point. This is precisely the point. And so they have not indicated, because they know that it can be that this COI will supersede those criminal proceedings. So this is simply about trying to clean up their very tarnished image, and Anil trying to gain brownie points because of his dismal performance in the courts.
Yeah, I see this as their this is their political maneuver, especially as it pertains to the upcoming we should be having, according to them, an upcoming local government election, and they need to have some bit of propaganda, disinformation that they can feed to the people when they go to them. So I see all of these things just playing out at this particular timing, so that it will channel into that election and how persons perceive the PPP and how and their level of democracy, or more importantly, the lack of democracy altogether.
And what's more, Joretta, there was a motion moved by the AP and UFC commissioners to have GCOM review the events of that day and what led to some of the discrepancies.
But they said
that was voted down. The chairperson joined with the PPP to say no. So GCOM does not have a clue as to what went wrong. And they are purporting and proposing to lead us into another election without doing an evaluation of what happened at 2020. And so what you have is a very important conspiracy of circumstances that are beginning to reveal. This conspiracy is beginning to reveal exactly who the guilty parties are. Because here you have a government that is so interested in democracy but don't want a clean voters list. Here you have a government who, through its commissioners, are stymieing GCOM from doing any review of its processes. you would think that the bastions and guardians of democracy would want that level of transparency.
Which guardians of democracy?
Man, them that
Who
they
you talking
purport
about?
themselves to be.
Let me tell you who's the guardians of democracy. Let's just remind folks. The guardians of democracy were supposed to be given awards for their level of advocacy, but they were never given those awards, right? Simply because those very persons start to speak up against the atrocities that have been taking place under the PP administration. And suddenly they're not the guardians of democracy anymore. Suddenly that many of those persons are now naysayers. So as it is right now, we understand their level of thinking when it comes to democracy. And we're going to get to that a little bit in the beginning.
No, but it feeds right into the big issue, which deals with democracy.
Yes.
But before we get to that, there's a very
I spoke about
very
this.
interesting.
I spoke about this, Amanza. Guys, listen, I told you this. You're going to remember that I told you this. You join every day, so you know. It says here that the president's defense of CARES contract is troubling, and this is coming from none other than Hamilton Green. It said President Ali, instead of taking into account CARES' dismal record with respect to the contract for the building of the Cato School in the North Pacoima, and ignoring the fact that CARES was proposed to be blacklisted in 2017, has jumped to the defense and defend the award to this contractor. Guyana is a small society and we know who is who. And when the head of state fails to distance himself from what appears to be skullduggery and improper function of the procurement committee, we are in trouble. I said, Amanza, right here, I said yesterday when we were talking about this particular matter and the fact that President Ali, that's the portfolio that he holds as president, found it necessary to defend the award of this country. This is something that he has no business even commenting on. He is the president of the country. That is his portfolio. How is it that you go out there to defend, a contract and who it's awarded to and all that? That has nothing to do with you. So it's spelled very clearly for any right-thinking Guyanese, based on the information presented to you and your level of saneness, you would assume that there's some kind of relationship between XYZ.
Listen to me. When you consider how Irfan Ali has gone after, for example, BK and Courtney Ben on the basis of their performance or non-performance of contracts, it is so interesting that he would come out with guns blazing to defend.
He didn't know about the process and that then.
No, you see, he didn't know. And again, this is where, and Hamilton Green is right, we are in trouble because there's no procurement commission to be engaged on this matter. Because why is there no procurement commission?
They've started now. So that is going to be something else, but they have started now.
So they have empaneled them.
Yes.
And they've gotten their JDGSs finally. They're out to work.
Yes, they're there to work.
So
now.
then, this is a matter that Irfan Ali should be referring
for comments coming from
to the procurement commission.
That's my thing.
And not being the chief arbiter of this matter. This is where we talk about Juretta, us not respecting our institutions. And this is how you know a government is the antithesis of the democracy that they preach, because they break down your institutions and your institutional arrangements and replace it with cult of personality.
Yeah. But when it comes
that's what is happening there.
When it comes to looking at that and breaking down of institutions and all of that, I have to bring in at this point in time that Irfan Ali has been pushing in that direction for persons not to respect institutions and for persons to work around the institutions, and we saw that on full display when he was in Mocha there for the meeting, when he was basically telling the people that he's not going to be looking at any bureaucracy or anything like that. Basically telling the people that that he's going to become dealing with them directly, and he's not going to be, the government and their representatives are not going to be going to the elected representative and that local authority organ that has been established, elected to be in place there, but he's playing a very dangerous game. And that's the point I want to get to this morning. You don't go and tell people those things and then don't expect that for those people to use that against you and your office. You are the head of a bureaucratic setup, right? Your administration is a representation of what is going on there at the local level. You're at the central level, but that's just at the local level. That's the only difference when it comes to that. So when you are telling people that it's okay not to respect that authority, what are you saying to them when it comes to your authority in your office?
But even outside of that, even outside of the very poor messaging that it sends, it really does indicate that at their core, they're not interested in local democracy, that their mental bent is towards centralization of power and centralization of government.
Yeah.
Local democracy exists so that local people can determine what is best for their communities, what's best for their countries. And to the extent that the president, no less a person than the president, would say that he is going to bypass all of that, it is deleterious. It will have a devastating effect on local government, not only because people will feel empowered to disregard their locally elected officials, but it will lead to the complete breakdown of the local government infrastructure. So, Doretta, there is no winning with that type of position. There is no winning. And Irfan Ali ought to be a little more responsible and to make sure that he preserves the governance infrastructure that exists.
And not lead the charge to dismantle it, because it's going to end, it's going to land at his feet.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Big issue.
But we're going to be following that up. And look, the big issue today, the big issue today, Guyana, the U.S., and democracy. As you know, today, September 15th, is the International Day for Democracy. And we have a very interesting joint statement issued by the U.S. The U.S., the UK High Commissioner, the Canadian High Commissioner, and the new EU Ambassador, they issued a joint statement to commemorate the 15th anniversary of the International Day of Democracy. And we want to read it because it's very, very important.
Nice.
It says, as we celebrate this anniversary, we reaffirm that the cornerstones of democracy, including liberty, equality, inclusivity, freedom of religion and belief, speech and assembly, the rule of law, and the right to vote. While free, fair, and inclusive elections are critical, democracies also help safeguard human rights and fundamental freedoms and work to strengthen the political, economic, and social rights, and they do so openly to the benefit of all. When these principles are placed at the center of foreign policy frameworks, they connect us as global citizens, and help nations achieve and sustain peace and stability. And they go on to talk about the challenges that democracies will face. And they said, in closing, on this International Day of Democracy, we resolve to support the people of Guyana to continue building a democratic system that is strong, resilient, and guarantees all Guyanese have a voice and a role to play as the country moves forward at this unique time in its history. Very interesting statement.
So you mean to tell me democracy is not just elections?
Very, very interesting statement.
That's what you're saying, Amanda, that democracy is not just elections, as the PPP so tell you every single day?
Well, it is very instructive that if you recall the last day of democracy, it was a big to-do.
Yes.
Yep. It was a big to-do. Fan gave speech and all of that. And so now it is muted. You notice I haven't seen it yet, but there isn't this big tra-la-la about democracy and so on anymore. Because you see, the people have had 2 years to realize that the PPPC is not interested in democracy.
And they were clunging themselves.
They tried to make it about elections. We have said it. You go back to our commentaries, you go back to our Facebook posts. We warn, look, elections, democracy is not a singular event called elections, but it is about how a nation is governed. And you notice these the ABC EU countries went to pains to point out issues like inclusivity.
Yep,
They went to pains to point out things like equity,
freedom of speech.
freedom of speech,
Cheryl Duncan, your name calling.
all of these other fundamental tenets.
And they have it here because it is important, it's very important that we know it, when it comes to the cornerstones of democracy, and it has been highlighted in this. We've been telling you. I would always like to give you the other examples of when other people tell you, because we've been telling you, we've been at pains of pointing out to you that when it comes to elections, that is just the beginning. And everything else that follows through is what actually tests to see if there is democracy within your country and all of that. It talks about including liberty, equality, inclusivity, freedom of religion, freedom of belief, freedom of speech, and the freedom of your right to assemble, the rule of law. Those are the things, and most importantly, what they talk about is the fundamental freedoms and work to strengthen the political, economic, and social rights. And it also says here, when it comes to all of these things being beneficial to everyone, it says, and they do so openly to benefit all.
Speaking about exactly what we have been speaking about, transparency in governance. And so, let me say this. They also go on to talk about, to tackle the critical issues facing the world today, democracies need to be constantly vigilant in strengthening their institutions and processes. We just spoke about the fact that they are whittling away at our institutions, as our brother Cameron would say, breaking down the guardrails of democracy. And here you see, in a very important progression from what has been the ABC EU countries saying, look, because when you operate in diplomacy, you understand what is being said.
Come on. Definitely.
This is them saying, we seeing y'all.
We're watching.
We seeing y'all. And if you notice, a lot of what we have been advocating is now coming out in the statement, right? And they're saying there's a stark reminder that there is work to be done to uphold democratic principles. Now, let me say this. This is what we, as the people of Guyana who are interested in building a democracy, have to use to empower ourselves, to fight to build our democracy. Nobody's coming here to build it for us.
Correct.
And this is an important point that we have to continue to emphasize. The diplomatic community will be the diplomatic community. And there are certain things that they can say, and in the interest of diplomacy, there are certain things that they will say in a particular way. It is for us as citizens to understand that these are things that we need to capitalize on and fight to build our democracy. The ABCU, I can't expect them to advocate on my behalf. I have to advocate for me. If they agree with me, bless God. No, I'm being very, very serious, because I think sometimes in our mindset, we have developed this culture where our salvation got to come from somewhere.
Dependency.
And salvation won't come from nobody but ourselves.
Yep.
And this should strengthen your resolve to continue to speak out, because it is because of the speaking out and the advocacy that we have been doing, that you could have a statement where they are reminding. You just only need to remind where it appears that you have forgotten.
Correct. Yes. Had we been nice and quiet and not saying anything, the statement probably would have read, congratulations for all your work.
Yes.
To maintain a highly democratic. It's not saying that. It's not saying that.
And so we have to bear it in mind that these people are not going to come to deliver us. We have to deliver ourselves. And in the process of doing that, you build on allies that you create. This is an excellent statement that said what it said. We need to build a democracy. We need inclusivity. We need equity. We now have to take and build on this and make our demands known. Those of you who are in the US, Irfan Ali is in the US. Guyanese who are in the diaspora that are interested, he's in the US. Write your congressmen and women. Let them know that you are concerned about what is happening in Guyana. This is why you have to continue to advocate. So we're going to keep monitoring the reactions to it, and we are going to be following these developments.
Correct.
And there's a lot more happening at the U.S. Embassy. I think they've issued a security advisory on Cricket World Cup. Why you laugh, Jay?
This is the second time the U.S. Embassy has issued security advisory when it comes to what is going on. The first time they did was for the stock market and persons that actually go into that area. So the U.S. Embassy, they don't seem to have much faith in the security mechanisms that are set up to safeguard persons, tourists in particular.
Let's not stay away from crowds. Let's not keep a low profile.
I don't know, you keep the low profile like you gotta, if you are, particularly if you're Caucasian or so, you got no low profile you're keeping at all. It's not possible, child. Not possible.
But guys, Cricket World Cup is around the corner.
It's like to use caution when walking or driving at night when traveling in these areas. Be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of your surroundings, guys. Absolutely crazy, but we will continue to monitor this, and you will note that we've been talking about everything that has been happening outside of this particular statement. The reason why they're issuing this statement and then this bit of caution, this advisory, is because of all the crime that we have been every single day. We come here, we talk about crime money increase. We said Roops and Ben needs to be called to the front when it comes to this, because not much has been said and done in that department.
He has been very silent throughout this Bascom story, all of this thing. He has been just very,
somebody bench Roops and put him on the bench.
He's been very, very quiet. Irfan has been
vocal somewhat.
Has been failing to give this man protective custody. I mean, we're in a mess. But we persist. We will forge ahead, guys.
Yep.
It is what it is.
Correct. Manza, please. Manza's going to wrap up for us this morning. I know we've been taking you guys over time, so Manza is going to be taking the lead and wrapping us up.
What else is there to say? Except go out, be great, have a great day today. And remember, like I said earlier, guys, Guyana belongs to all of us, and it will be up to us to save Guyana. It will be up to us to raise our voices against what is happening at home. You have a complete breakdown of our institutions. You have a police force that does not enjoy the trust and confidence of the people of Guyana. It will only get worse from here on out unless we, the people, decide that we are going to put a stop to this. So we want to encourage you to continue to advocate. We want to continue to encourage you to speak out. You have to make your voices heard. The only thing required for evil to prevail is for good men to do or say nothing. And so the good people of Guyana must begin to speak out. So have a great day, guys. Go out there and make it a great day despite the challenges. And we'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 8 for FYI.